So if I want to return to the question of user stories, um, perhaps a user story is, if you like, a background or context for user experience. And to my shame, I've hardly ever used a screen reader, and whenever I've used it, I've had the monitor on. So I've not had any real attempt to understand what the user experience is when reading mathematics or anything else on the web is. And that is part of what we need to communicate, if you like, to developers, that they see the user experience that the blind person has. And you can't get that user experience just by closing your eyes, because you just close your eyes for a few minutes and then you open them again. But we have to sort of go from the human being at the one end and get to a technical software sort of problem that needs to be solved, if that's the solution that we need. And I don't have a clear grasp of the user experience. Let's put it another way. I'm struggling for words. I sort of have my idea of navigation is I press buttons and I click links and that sort of thing. And as I'm doing that, the web pages or whatever it is flick by at great speed. And if I'm looking for an error in a file, I'll sort of if I'm composing an email, I'll see all the bits that that have got the red squiggles underneath them and go to them. I can do that with my mouse and so forth. So that's my experience of navigation. And I suspect that for a blind person, the experience of navigation is quite different. So the problem I have, if you like, is I don't understand the experience of the blind person as well as I'd like to. I'm certainly not well enough to say this is the correct thing to do.
Right. That's what I was sort of hoping that Sanjit could live demo something for us. I think part of what I understood from him is that both the navigating in and out of MathJax is an issue, but also blocking. We sort of visually block an equation when we read it into logical chunks that we naturally pick up as mathematicians or people who do a lot of mathematics. And it visually gives us units that we parse at one at a time. Think of, I don't know, change of integration. It's the part on the left side of the equality. They have different blocks on the right side or whatever. And we sort of handle each one separately. And he has to sort of click through the levels to realize what a block is. And it's not actually saying this is a block. Think of it as a unit. It's just sort of some level in his tree. But again, it would really help me to actually watch somebody navigate an equation in MathJax of sufficient complexity and try to do it with him. And you're saying blindfolded would help. Yeah, we should learn how to experience what they are if we want to understand what we need to give them.
Usability labs, the OU has some, and I've used them a little bit, have recording and observation capabilities and all sorts of stuff like that. That's a bit difficult to get hold of these days, what with social distancing. I feel as though we're halfway there in terms of Sanjit's experience and the going over to the technical side of things. I think the thing that's really missing is that, so to speak, the inner experience. There's a sort of a difference in the inner experience, and there should also be a similarity in the inner experience. In the inner experience, I mean, I'm going to try and be quiet and see if Sanchit could say something without being embarrassed about
I
how,
never get embarrassed. No notice. So
about what it's, how is it when you read mathematics? What's, try and tell us what your experience is when you read mathematics, and what's good about that experience and what's difficult about that experience.
yeah, so the complex equation is, I always have to navigate if I'm using through the web browser, that MathJax. So I have to spend more time to go through each level and uh, understand the details. So that is, big time waste. Means I really wanted to quickly understand the equation so that I can finish many things. Uh, so I was thinking, like I think Nathan sir, if I'm not mistaken, name. So if there should be some alt text for the mathematical picture or something instead of rendering through the MathJax, because in the latex it is just a text thing. So if we have any logic to convert that into the correct mathematical sentence, like integration from
So if can I interrupt you to see if I got what you're saying right?
yeah.
What you want is something that is spoken more or less as you'd say, so to speak, put into ordinary words, like it's spoken in ordinary words in an ordinary way. Is that a fair? Is that roughly what you're asking for?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So it'll be the integral from 0 to something, if the something is complicated. And I think what would help, what would help would be an example of an equation and an example of what you like to have as the output.
Okay.
Because in the end, that's what you're asking the software to do, is I want software that when presented with this equation produces this output.
Yeah.
What you don't want is, presented with this equation, I want to be able to navigate its abstract syntax tree. You don't want to navigate, although you probably want to be able to skip. Do you want to skip? Skip to that interesting bit. Is that part of your picture?
Yes, sir. Navigation. If I just navigate without the MathJax thing, just like a normal text.
Okay, I don't have a precise idea, but have an idea about what you want, and perhaps we could email a bit afterwards to try and get some clarity, if that's all right with you.
Yeah.